Welcome, everybody. Waiting for Jennifer's audio to connect. Can you guys hear me good?
Yep.
Awesome sauce.
That's hearing your audio.
Yeah, Jennifer's audio was taking forever to connect, fortunately. We will give it a few minutes to see if Amy hops on, the last of our crew. I know, Jennifer, you weren't here last week when we went over a new technique for maintaining control of the back. But I still kind of want to review and talk to Cha and Sarah, hopefully Amy if she joins today too, because I know there were some leftover questions from last week, and still a little bit of confusion on how to utilize the technique that I showed you guys. So you guys can just go ahead and stretch out and warm up and kind of move around. We'll give it a few more minutes to see if we have any stragglers. And then we'll hop into it with my mask on. There she is. Very nice. Oh. Yeah. Just waiting for her camera to get back online. All right, so I'm gonna check in with you guys. How's your week been? How are you guys feeling? Um, Overall with just your bodies and mind and your jujitsu. We'll start with Jennifer, since it looks like you're the closest to the camera. Checking in.
Fine. No injuries.
He's good. Good. Lovely, lovely. All right. What about Sarah and Cha? How checking in? I saw you guys just refreshing and drilling. Please throw in the questions that you had from last week too, because I know there was still like some confusion, or I think you guys said you weren't really quite grasping the concepts yet.
I don't totally remember exactly what we did last week, but I remember thinking that a transition sucked and I couldn't get it right. Or I could get it right, but like with a lot of like finagling, I just couldn't remember. Like I can't remember what exactly it was.
Okay. What about you? You were doing it. You were just doing the technique from last week, Sarah, on Cha. So do you have any questions in regards to it?
Uh,
Yeah, for that one, the transition from being on my back, losing back control, to coming around into a wrestling, sprawling on the person position. That transition was really awkward for me, I think, in most of the reps from last week, and still I can do it slowly, but I can barely do it slowly. So I don't know. I'm not exactly sure how to efficiently do that.
Okay, I'll watch you guys do it again. Let me check in with Amy and see how she is. I know you also had questions about last week's technique too, Amy, and I'm not sure if it was the awkwardness or if it was just the grasping the overall concept. So checking in with you to see where you are.
No questions. I guess still just marinating from last week.
Okay. All right, so let's get into it then. I'm trying to think if we have oh, okay. So I'll use the Swiss ball. The Swiss ball is not going to be as great of a tool as your dummy or your training partner, but it's still going to be a good tool for you to understand that you need to still keep your core engaged to keep your upper body and your lower body connected. So when you're talking about transitioning from losing back control to kind of more of a wrestling-esque scramble to stay on top and maintain the position, Sarah, it's the core, your engagement, your core, your lower belly, that's going to keep your upper body and your lower body connected. Jennifer, you weren't here at all last week, so I'm just going to review the main concept from last week when we're maintaining control of the back, and that is the concept of the head trap. So the head trap, what it is essentially is it's not, you don't think of it as something that's super fancy or overly complicated. All the head trap is you in that prom picture position with your strangle arm over the neck or in the around the neck, setting up the choke. Here, that's all the head trap is. If that's all you have, even if you don't have your control hand controlling, trying to grab areas of my hand, the wrist, right? All the head trap is your head and this loop around their neck. Also, it's your projecting of your chest. So you're keeping your chest glued to their back, okay? If you're not projecting your chest, you're going to be losing that connection between their back and your chest. That is a very important connection. Um, and the connection is what puts the pressure, or you're applying how you apply pressure to the person when you have their back. Okay, it's this rowing motion. I gotta get down super low, right? So we're here. Usually if we are setting it up as a newbie and we're trying to rear naked choke, you see that my back is rounded and my chest is sunken in. That means I'm not projecting my chest. Soon as, and we do a lot of this rowing motions in our Saturday classes. Soon as we hit that rowing motion, activate our back, we're now projecting our chest forward, which means we're putting pressure into our partner that we have the back of. Okay, so that's one part of it. So when you think of the head trap and you think of having somebody's back, anytime you're on somebody's back, I don't care where you are, I don't care if it's 3/4 mount, you don't really have the full back at all, it's always going to be you projecting that chest forward. Okay, so we don't want to be sunking in. And when we're sunk in, that curved back rounded, we're also not going to be engaging that lower belly, the core, in order to keep our upper body and our lower body connected. All right. So when I'm here, my earbud's falling out, and I have that head trap position, I'm going to take this out because it's going to fall out anyway. You think you guys can still hear me with one earbud. I want to project my chest, right? So I'm here, and then I'm projecting my chest forward in that rowing motion. From here is when I'm going to start to run my feet. And that's going to get the pressure and getting them to fold in half even more. So the way we're going to do this, if you have the Swiss ball, if you don't worry about it. Just use your dummy, your training dummy. We're going to start off. I'm just going to move this out the way. Ooh. He's taking up most of the space right now. All right. So you're just using Swiss ball or your training dummy. You'll be here. We'll be sliding around. If you have socks on without grips at the bottom. Okay. So we're here. Boom. And then you want to think of dropping your head. And if you need to grab the ball, really project your chest. So my back is going from a rounded position to rowing. And I'm projecting my chest into the ball. So you're going to feel like you're creating a dent into the ball, right? From here, I want you guys just to think of running your feet, running your feet, running your feet. Just one side. And then other side. And that's it. We'll just do that as a very simple warm-up drill. You can use your hands for this drill so you can really feel yourself rowing in, and then you're going to run your feet to the left, back, run your feet to the right for a few seconds. Okay, cool. You have a Swiss ball. Who doesn't have a Swiss ball? You don't have a Swiss ball. Cool. So if you don't have a Swiss ball, you just have your training partner. I want you to do the actual drill on your training dummy, right? You're gonna have, we won't do the full drill where you have the back yet. I want your training partner seated, right? See, Barry is seated. And we're here. And then you're just gonna be projecting your chest into your training partner, running your feet, and then you can get your one hook inside. I'll use the blue man because he's a little bit more sturdy for me to do this drill. This is all about projecting your chest and running your feet. All right, so I'm here. I'm going to row, project my chest, run my feet, get my hook, and then off to the other side. And you can run your feet away from the choke arm as well. So we're here, running my chest, running my feet the other way, step in, boom, boom. Once you feel warmed up with your Swiss ball, Amy, you can transfer the drill back to your dummy. Yeah. Exactly. Try to have your feet further back, Sarah. So you don't want your feet, yeah. So you can really drive your pressure in. And you don't have to do it fast right now. Slow it down, slow it down. I want you all to slow it down and focus more on how you're projecting your chest and how you're driving your feet in a way where you're driving weight and pressure into your training partner or dummy. Yeah. Can you turn your drill to the side, Jennifer, so I can see you hit it from the side? That'll help me see how you're projecting your chest. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Good job. Maybe if you have, do you have like another pillow you can put between your dummy's chest, Jennifer, and its legs, so like you have a little additional height or something like that? Maybe like an additional pillow, something to keep him upright just a little bit, so you get like that feedback. That's your chest. Good. Yeah. Good. That works. Oh, it's something. It's big. So maybe you have like a little height. Yeah. All right, let's look in now. Let's add in the concept of that control hand, right? So when you're, when we're actually doing this and we want to set up a submission, we need to control the person, right? If we're not controlling them with this control hand, I can't even really grab it on this side, but let's use, I'm going to use the strap, right? So just imagine the strap is the person's arm and I'm grabbing it here. This control hand on this side is what's going to prevent them from running away, right? So I'm keeping this arm pulled in. If I had Barry, he's a little bit easier to show it on. Right? I'm here and I'm pulling his wrist into his body. So this prevents him from running away, and it also prevents him from turning away from me. All right? So this arm over his shoulder and his neck, this is going to prevent him from turning this way. But this control hand here is going to prevent him from turning this way. And it's also going to prevent him from just running away completely. So as I'm going through this drill, now you guys are going to use the control hand, keep that pin to the body, and do the same thing. You're running your feet, keeping your chest projected, keeping them rode in. You step your hook in, boom, and then you're falling to the side. Okay? If I was doing this on the blue guy, just imagine that this black strap that I'm holding here, I'm not sure if you guys can see that, is their arm. And I'm doing all the same things, except for now I have that control hand, right? Opposite arm, opposite head, running my feet, keeping them folded in half, bottom hook in first always, and then I'm getting them to the side. One more time. I have the control hand in my arm, projecting my chest, running my feet. I'm keeping them folded in half, stepping in my bottom hook, falling to my bottom hook side, and then getting the back that way. Yep. On your feet. Yeah. Good job. Good job, Amy. Yeah, nice. Yes. Awesome. All right, Sarah and Cha, start from having the back and then the person escapes it and you go through the drill from the top. Actually escapes it. Yep, feet are over. What's going to help you even more versus stepping your foot in is if you continue to run your feet to the side, Sarah, like a clock. So instead of stopping, right? Instead of stopping right behind her, you want to continue to run to the side. It's going to be a lot easier for you to get your hook in. Run your feet. Yeah. Yep. Yes. Exactly. Better. So you can do the same thing too, Jennifer. You can start from you have the back and then the person is escaping the back. So now as the person is escaping the back, remember you have to use your chest to maintain connection so that they don't get their back to the floor, right? So you're using your chest pressure to continue to keep them from beating their back to the floor, right? Hold them in half and make them suffer. Make them feel all that pressure and weight, and then you're gonna run your legs to the side and regain your hooks back. Exactly. Nice, Amy. Good job. So you guys know you have the choice to go either way. It doesn't matter. You can go to where they're falling to the opening or they're falling into the choke. But if you want them to fall into the choke, you know you have to run to the choke side. So your bottom hook is going to be on the choke side and then they're falling into the choke versus falling out of or away from the choke. It's really up to you and what you're looking to set up at this point. But we're going to first work on setting up the rear naked choke. So just keep that in mind that you do want to run your feet to the closed side, right? So when I say closed side, I know I want to run my feet this way. So when I get the bottom hook in and I fall to that side, they're falling into the choke. Okay. If I ram the other way, then they're going to be falling away from or out of the choke. Again, it's really preference as to what you're looking to set up. a few more minutes, and then I'm going to add the new deets for maintaining back control. Nice, Cha. Run your feet, run your feet. So try to stay off the tops of your feet, Jennifer, or everybody. We want to be running off of our toes like we're getting ready to sprint. If we're on the tops of our feet, we won't be able to project that pressure and that weight into our training partner or dummy. Mhm. All right, so everybody's looking in. Okay, so we have some core concepts that we have been going over so far as the back attack system. The first concept is the idea of left and right control, right? So let me use Barry. It's a lot easier to explain it on than the blue guy. I have new dummy coming soon. All right, so left and right control. We have the top side, which is usually we're gonna have one arm in the choke or strangle position, and then we have one arm that's in the control position. The arm that's in the strangle position is the elbow at the shoulder that's controlling rotation. And then the arm that's underneath, whether we are controlling the arm, we're using open hands, or we're using closed hands, right? It's going to be this forearm area that's controlling rotation on that side. All right. So this shoulder, this elbow at the shoulder is preventing him from rotating this way. This forearm elbow is preventing him from rotating that way. Then we have our legs. Let's do the same thing. So we have my leg hook this way that's preventing him from rotating this way, and my leg hook on this side that's preventing him from rotating that side. Now, we don't always have to have all hooks in. We just need to know how to prevent rotation. So if we're able to use less limbs to control somebody, it means that we can work like an octopus in a sense, where you can both be controlling the person and then also have a limbs to be attacking them. Which, how do we do that? Okay, we do that in terms of making sure that the upper body is occupied, the lower body is occupied for control, and also we're controlling both left and right rotation. So if I do this on the same side, I'm controlling upper and lower, but he still can rotate this way. All right, same side this way. If I have these two hooks out, then you can still rotate that way. But if I think in terms of controlling him at a diagonal, then I can use this leg to prevent rotation this way, and I can use this hand to prevent rotation that way. So this means that this hand is free to choke, this hand is occupied to control. Make sense? Yes. Like not if you follow me, or throw a thumbs up. So that's what we call diagonal control, the concept of diagonal control, right? So this upper body, this hand here, is controlling rotation this way. This leg here, so if I'm just using these two, right, not using this leg is preventing rotation that way. So I don't have to always have all hooks in. I don't. As a matter of fact, it's going to be something that's going to slow me down. This is good for points. Okay, I got my points. Now, what do? I need to start setting up my submission. I actually prefer this form of control. But I'm going to show you guys why I prefer this, having one leg free, in a second. Okay, so that was the first concept, left and right control. We went over that. Second concept was head control, right? Using the head trap, which is what we just went over, controlling the head to prevent them from, one, escaping. So they're only either falling into their choke, my choke. If the person gets their back to the mat, boom, they want to get their head usually to the other side, boom, and get like to the back so they can escape. All right, so I have to use my head and projecting my chest to prevent them from escaping, right? So these are points of contact that they need to break in order to escape my back control, right? They have to get their head to the other side of my body, of my head. Boom, boom. Now he's escaping. He's no longer under threat of getting choked. Right now, even if I don't have the full rear naked choke on, I can still just choke the bear with one hand because he is in the choke. I'll just call it the choke loop. He's in the loop of the choke. Okay, make sense? All right, nod if you follow. Good, okay. The last part that we need to understand is this bottom hook. This bottom hook is key. So even if for some reason Barry decides to escape on the choke side, if he's able to get his back flat to the mat and clear my bottom hook, I no longer have a choke. I no longer have him in a real threat, especially if his shoulders are flat to the mat. So that's why I had you guys go over that drill so you could learn how to beat their back to the mat and then regain your bottom hook. Okay, so critical. That drill was to show you how to beat their back to the mat and regain control of your bottom hook. Okay, if they escape your top hook, nobody cares, right? This is why I like this. Nobody cares. As a matter of fact, escape my top hook all day. I'm gonna set you up for a twister. Boom, and break your neck. All right, so they can escape the top hook. Doesn't matter. Escape the top hook all you want. They have to really, if they want to do a top hook defense, they have to completely hop over to the other side of their body. We'll go over that in leg locks from the back on another day. But just know that you want them between your knees, and if they escape that top hook, is okay, as long as they don't escape the bottom hook. That's what matters the most. Okay, critical that they do not escape that bottom hook. So I'm going to show you guys just a simple drill for how we're going to maintain control of that bottom hook. Amy, you were already doing it. So you have different ways to control it. One is, I'm going to use the blue man because he's a little bit easier. You guys need to get the timing down here. Soon as they fall to the side, right? You cannot leave your hooks like this. You can't leave your hooks just in the traditional position because it's so easy for them to clear, straighten the leg, and then hop over. All right. So you need to get your foot higher than your their hips. So as soon as they fall to the side, you need to take this foot and get it higher. All right. So you guys are going to work with your dummy and training partner, and all you're going to do is, as soon as your dummy falls to the side, you're going to take your foot, stomp, and get your hip higher. That's it. Stomp, get your hip higher. If you are like the figure 4, you can figure 4, foot on the inside or foot on the outside. The dummy's too wide for me to put my foot on the outside for right now. So you can figure 4. You can cross with your feet higher up if you need to. You can just do the stomp, or you can do what I showed you, which is, I have to use Barry for that one. Or you can kick and then cross over their hips. Okay, this is my favorite position, crossing over the hips. All right, so soon as your training partner or dummy falls to the side, boom, stop high, get your hooks high. You can figure 4 it, foot on the outside, foot on the inside. All right, you can just keep the stop if you want to, or here, cross over their hip and pinch. All right, that's it. That's all we're doing today. Just very simple detail, and you will, this is such a small thing, but it is so incredibly important to maintaining control of the back. Yep, over the hip. Remember, you want them falling in your knees. So the high leg defense is when the person's hip will hop over your knee, and you don't want them to do that. That's it. And then if you have your training partner, I want the training partner, once you guys both get it, you're like, okay, because it's so simple. It's just like a really small detail. I want your training partner kind of like fighting left and right, and then you switching your hooks left and right, left and right. Remember, they trying to prevent them from hopping over that bottom hook because they want to hop over that bottom hook. So you have to keep that bottom hook high and across their waist. Keep that foot across their waist. Don't let your foot fall into the hip line area. So as soon as your feet falls into the hips, that's when they can start setting up that foot lock that nobody likes. So keep your feet high. Yep. And for those of you who are with your training dummy, you're just gonna like have to really visualize them fighting left and right, because you know that's what people are gonna do. They're gonna, oh, I can't go this way. I'm gonna hop, 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 try to go the other way. Hop, 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 try to go the other way. So you have to think in terms of like shadow jujitsu, shadow wrestling. You got the boxers setting up here, they're doing their shadow boxing, mentally preparing themselves for the fight. You guys got to do the same, okay, with your training dummies. Just visualize the situation and try to play it out. Okay, so for everybody, I'm gonna remind you of the different ways you can control somebody to maintain the dominant position. It doesn't have to just be the back, it can just be just the dominant position. So we have the escape that we just did, the head control one. The person gets out, boom, right? They're getting out. We run our feet around, boom, get the hook back, bottom hook control, bam, there's one. The other one is, say that they really do beat, we're trying to maintain control and they still beat their back all the way to, they beat their back to the mat, right? So there's really no way for us to do that trick again. So we're gonna do cross body control this time. Will we grab across the body? Doesn't matter if you grab their hand, under armpit, shoulder, head, whatever. You have to grab across the body and then pull yourself on top to the mount. Okay. We also had the simple one that Molly showed, is just making sure that they don't beat our knees, and you're going to shrimp and then regain control. And then the last one I just showed you is not letting them get out at all, where they're falling to the side and you guys are beating them with either a figure four around the hips or the stomp. Sorry, the stomp. Keeping your feet higher than their hips, okay? So for Sarah and Cha, I want you guys to do specific training now, where one person is trying to escape the back, the other person is going to try to maintain the back and get a submission. For those of you who only have your dummy, I want you to go through all the different escapes that I've showed you. So your guys are going to mix it up and then add in your rear naked choke submissions, add in your arm bars for the back, or any other submission that you know from there. I haven't showed you guys submission now, just go over what you know. All right, questions? Nope. All right, get to it. Sarah and Cha specific training. All right. Nice. Oh, all right, switch top to bottom, Sarah and Cha. Remember, that bottom hook is what she wants to beat. Don't let her beat that bottom hook. Body control. There you go. Nice. See if you can get the back again, Sarah, just like how we've been doing. I can't see everything that was going on there, but it looked funky.
Well, yeah, I went to a cradle and then to take the back like you just taught us, but Chad trapped my arm that I was doing the cradle with, and then that is kind of a weird stalemate.
Yeah. beat the bottom hook, Sarah. Where we gotta beat the bottom hook. Nice, Cha. Nice. All right, time. Let's look in. Everybody look in. Okay, Cha, Sarah, where were you guys having the most success so far as maintaining the VAT?
I mean, I think I like it when people try to get out. I'm like, oh, I can like get. I have more. I feel like I can get more submissions that way because when you're on the back, like people know what you want. But if they start moving and going to the side, I'm like, well, you know, arm bar, bow and arrow, like I can beat them to mount if I wanted.
So you like it when they start to choose a side?
Yeah, I'm a counter puncher, so like I need them to do something because like unless I feel like I can get that rear naked or something, I feel like I want them to move.
Yeah. Well, that's one of my learning lessons that I've gotten so far as the rear naked choke. It's really, people say it's a high percentage finish when it comes to like fighting and MMA, but if you actually look at the pieces that set you up for the rear naked choke, it's really not that simple, right? It's really, you're more at a deficit to get the rear naked choke than you are in an advantageous position to get the rear naked choke. Why is that? Well, if we look at it in terms of our offensive weapons and their defensive weapons, what do we have? Typically, we're already going to have this hand occupied to control them so that they can't rotate and they can't run away. So we only have our hand. You might even say we have our head too. What they have is they have their shoulders that we have to get through. They have their chin that we have to get through. And they have this free hand that they can use to fight our hand with. So that's 3 against 1 usually. And this is a very small space for us to try and get our arm through for the rear naked choke. So we're really not in as much as an advantageous position as we think to get the rear naked choke. That's why it's so difficult to finish. So being able to use other submissions and other parts of our body to start to set up the RNC is going to take our abilities to finish from low percentage to high percentage. And that's what my goal has been for a while. So I'm hoping that we will answer that question in the next couple of months as we really spend a lot of time focusing on attacking the back. Sarah, questions? Anything? Where did you have your most success during this, during your specific training with Cha?
I think there's just a lot of good overlap between what you just taught in this class, Molly's classes, and even what Cha's been going over lately. And so I just feel overall I'm getting a little bit better at the control. And then but from this class in particular, I think the detail about like having your head to the side of their head on the one arm choke is a small detail that I've been missing. And so now I think I probably understand that choke a little bit better.
Good. Where did you guys, go ahead, it's fine. Where did you guys find that you had the most difficulty?
I don't know about difficulty, but you know, the wrestling up is strenuous, although we found as the partner was playing that they were trying to keep their back on the mat, that play and pressure makes it easier to do the wrestling up.
Yeah, for sure. Jennifer, we'll go with you. Jennifer, any questions that you had as you were going through your drilling?
So I guess I'm just hoping that it sticks when I do another session.
Can you speak closer to the camera? Sorry.
Can you guys hear me better? That kind of sucks.
Yeah.
I was just saying, it's kind of hard to tell, so I'm just hoping it sticks when I do it on the real. I think a lot of the stuff, you know, especially where you go to triangle from the back, but that I find it's going to be a little dubious for me because my legs are short. But it's unclear if I'm really going to be able to do it when I don't have, you know, a tummy that's small.
Yes. Oh, my phone must have died. I don't know what happened. Yeah, so that's just gonna be figuring out the best submission for you with the shorter legs. You know, I think even for me, like if I did try, I would think my body is built well for triangles. But if I'm going against a big person, I'm still not gonna do triangles. It's just, I'm gonna put myself at a disadvantage, especially like lower back issues, compromise. It's not a good thing. So as we kind of go through it more, arm bars might be good for you from the back. And then we have that, the twister, something you can play around with too. We'll continue to dive deep and find some more submissions and go through a bunch of submissions from the back as we continue on with this class. Amy, what about you? Any questions?
Yeah. What would you do if someone's defense to this was to fall to the underarm side and then like sort of like bridge up into the left to get their head onto the floor? Do you know what I mean?
They're trying to fall to the opening.
Yeah, they're falling towards the opening and sort of like bridge their head and then like try to shoot upward. That's like I think that's a thing that like my school does, and I'm wondering how.
Yeah, so it's the same thing, the head trap control. So when they're bridging, remember, is to beat their back to the mat. If they got their back to the mat before you can start to do that wrestle up, what Sarah calls the wrestle up, it doesn't matter which way they escape. You can still do this control, the one where you're running your feet and keeping them folded. You can do that control whether they fall to the choke side or whether they fall to the opening side. how it works is whether or not you're able to keep them. So they're bridging, they're falling this way. So as they're escaping, they beat my leg. As they beat my leg, you cannot allow them to get their back to the mat. You have to keep your chest projected, and then you're going to see, I saw this with Sarah and Cha. She beat your bottom hook, but you guys are still waiting for them to move before you continue to move. Soon as they beat their bottom hook, you're going to feed them over and start projecting your chest this way. Okay. So if they're bridging so that they can get their head back, right? They are bridging so that they can start to beat your head, so then they can start to get their back to the mat. That's why they're bridging, right? But you need to understand what their goal is. Have they escaped the bottom hook yet? Maybe not. Maybe they haven't escaped the bottom hook. Wait, I think I got them twisted. Maybe they haven't escaped the bottom hook, but they started to bridge. You can extract your bottom leg and start to beat them before they get their chest, their back flat to the mat, okay? So that head control, that's one thing I would do, okay? If they beat their back to the mat and they bridge, then I'm gonna do the cross body control. Those are the two things that I'm going to do. Don't let their back get to the mat. Do not let their back to get to the mat. Don't let their back to get to the mat. Don't let them beat that bottom hook. And if they beat the bottom hook, it's because you fed them that escape, and you're going to start to do that wrestle up. Okay, is that helpful?
Yeah. The wrestle up kind of brings you, like, resets the position, right? And brings you back to where you started.
Yeah.
How do you break the infinite loop? Or is this not a problem of them just sort of like bridging to the side again? Like, is there any way to slow it down?
Oh, so you're talking about so you don't have to continue to do this. Okay. Yeah. So that is what I showed you is they have to be. Jennifer says choke them. Yeah. So what's the other thing they do? So their thing is they're bridging, right? They're constantly bridging. I would keep them falling into the choke side. That's one. And two, prevent them from beating that bottom hook, which is stepping and keeping that hook high and continuing to switch side to side. Then it's just going to be, yeah, what Jennifer said, setting up different submissions, setting up different chokes. Like whether it's setting up the arm bar, setting up RNC, setting up the triangle from the back, you have to start attacking versus just being on the defensive. And that's something that I noticed for me, even for like when we do the leg locks, with I can continue to keep the loop going, but if I'm staying on the defense and I'm not ever switching to being offensive, not ever changing my defensive to just being pure defensive and running away, but being defensive and actually attacking with a heel hook of my own, a toe hold of my own, then I'm going to stay in that loop. Does that make sense? Right? So there is a point where you have to realize that they're going to be doing the same things. So you have to prepare your mind to be in that infinite loop. And this is one thing my coach calls it is a circle of fun. He's like, keep them in the circle of fun, keep them in the circle of fun, buy them a ticket, get them some candy corn, just keep them on that ride, right? You want them to be the one who's getting mentally exhausted from going into that dog day of finding themselves continuously in that motion, right? So you have to build up your emotional capacity to stay there and to know that they really don't have any other options. Then you can start to set up, okay, my rear RNC, my arm bar from the back, my triangle from the back, and whatever twister, if you want to set up the twister, whatever other crazy submissions you have until you start to break them down and finishing them. Is that helpful? Yeah, know that they only have a few exits and you're controlling those exits well. Any other questions? No. All right, you guys. Okay, so we're gonna continue this on. I am so excited to be working on the back. This is even helping me. So I'm ready to choke some people. Let's get it. All right. Have a great rest of your week. I will see you guys Saturday. You ready to get back to it?
Thank you. Thanks.
You're welcome. Bye.